His Divine Grace, if I try to make the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Krantarashmi Bhagavatam ki. Jagor Premanande. Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshar Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurue Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shitapadakamam Sri Guru and Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagadatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopeshi Gopikakanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishvare Visubhana Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarabhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Marika Bandho Matsangin Madguru Manmahadana Madnistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostate Sadhu Sadhu Tadayana Jinicho Chatakara Hanumunchakarachin Mam Premna Hritkatayo Spuraha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So we're hearing the prayers of Bhishma Dev, his glorious ways living his body. Bhishma Dev instructs Maharaj Yudhisthira. Bhishma Dev's final moments. Prayers unto the world, unto the Lord. I think we're on verse 35.
we ever hear about Bhishma Dev when he was a young man?
Not in Mahabharata, but not in my knowledge of Bhagavatam, no. But I'm sure there's devotees who are more familiar with that in Mahabharata, scholar type people. I mean, there's some pastimes about how his birth, he's the son of the Ganges and one of the Vasus, so forth. So verse 35 is Saparisaki vacho nishamam yadye nija parayor balayor ratam niveshya Titavati parasaka yurakshna Kritavati partasake ratir mamastu. In obedience to the command of his friend Lord Sri Krishna, entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. So we're hearing, just to primarily get a little review in, is Bhishma Dev. He was going through his different prayers. Of course, the whole reason behind this is that Yudhishthir was feeling dejected. And Yudhishthir was unable to be pacified by the words of all the great sages whom were with him. Vyasadeva was there, Narada was there, and even Krishna was there. And Krishna was trying to speak some transcendental knowledge to Yudhishthir, but Yudhishthir was not satisfied by this transcendental knowledge because Krishna was wanting Bhishma Dev to actually speak the knowledge, to glorify Bhishma Dev. And so apparently Bhishma Dev was acting as Krishna's enemy, but actually Bhishma Dev is a pure devotee. So there's various reasons, and you can read Bhagavatam on different levels. Krishna says, Yeyatam mam prapadyante, that as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So Bhagavatam is also similar. The degree we actually surrender to Bhagavatam, it'll reveal itself to us on different levels. And so one of the ways that you can look at Bhagavatam is rasa. Other ways are these practical things. But this rasa element is that all of the pastimes of Krishna, and even these, apparently Krishna's fighting with Bhishma Dev, it's for rasa. Krishna wanted to relish that rasa with Bhishma. And so Bhishma Dev is meditating on Krishna, whom appeared before him when he's leaving his body, meditating on him in a way that is especially meant for Hare Krishna. Oh, good.
Wow. Teachers even targeted this.
She really worked hard at that.
Not really.
So this is the point that Bhishma Dev is wanting to relish this form of Krishna as Parthasarathi. That's his Ishtadev, the form of Krishna which he really relishes, he loves, he wants to worship. So he's thinking of Parthasarathi. Which deities are Parthasarathi in our movement?
New
Delhi, yeah. They're tiny.
Huh?
They're tiny. Parthasarathi are very small.
Are they as big as our deities though?
What?
Are they the size of our deities?
Maybe a tad bit bigger. They're like the size of Radhagiri Hari. Maybe a little smaller than Radhagiri Hari even. They're tiny. Then in Delhi, they have these giant Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman deities. And they have a giant Nrsingadev, that's solid marble. And he was carved by the same Stapati that carved Mayapur Nrsingadev. But he's not in that form. Yeah, it's quite an amazing temple.
This is the first in Delhi. So many there.
Yeah, there's like 22 temples, yeah. That's the first one. So in the beginning we're hearing this element of Bhishma Dev is welcoming everybody, and it's special because Bhishma Dev is welcoming everybody according to perfect Vaishnava etiquette. He knows how to be a perfect Vaishnava, a perfect gentleman, even though he's incapable of offering people seats and fruits and different things of Vaishnava etiquette. So that's another point, is that Bhishma Dev is seeing the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law. We have to also be like that as devotees, because sometimes we can get fanatical about things and we don't understand why there's certain laws. And if you think about them, you can actually understand them. For instance, we hear about It's just something I've been thinking, like cutting nails is considered very dirty, right? Anything. But actually, if you think about why cutting nails is really dirty in a world previous to the one that we live in now. Because we do a lot of, we eat and then we can, so if you cut nails, you have to take a shower, but then we eat and wash our hands, it's fine. So why is cutting nails so dirty? How did people cut nails before there were nail clippers?
Oh, I would think a knife.
Likely they were biting.
Oh, they chew them.
Yeah, right?
But can't you just wash your hands though?
Right, but no, it's dirty. You're chewing. It's kind of a dirty act. These things are just like, we can just think there's some deeper level. Also, we hear that you shouldn't wear blue in front of the deity.
Or red.
Why? I might have explained it to you before. Yeah, right.
Right?
Neela, because that particular type of dye in India, the Neela dye. No. It was described. I've read that passage of heart. Padmanabhan Prabhu specifically went over that with us. All it says is, the verse says, Neela is this particular type of dye that there's a Shastric verse that says it's contaminating. That dye is contaminating. Mostly girls wear it. Anytime you get like white, it's kind of bluish. So point is, Bhishma Dev's understanding the letter of the law. And then Bhishma Dev pacifies and encourages the Pandavas, right? And he's giving these beautiful shlokas about how everything is Krishna's will. So who's in control? Why are things happening the way they're happening? Because Krishna is in control. Krishna is the supreme controller, supreme personality of Godhead. So everything is happening according to Krishna's will, Krishna's desire. Bhishma speaks like that. And then he's glorifying Krishna's position, original Narayan, faultless qualities. Bhakti Yoga reveals him. And he gives some instructions to Yudhisthira about the various aspects of Dharma, which are more or less, that's actually the biggest part of the Mahabharata, is Bhishma Dev's instructions. And now we're seeing his final moments. Of course, we famously hearing about the love bites. He was relishing the arrows, like the bites of a fiance. And now we're hearing Bhishma Dev's prayers to the Lord. We'll read the purport here. In the Bhagavad Gita 1:21-25, Arjuna is ordered the infallible Lord Sri Krishna to place his chariot between the phalanxes of soldiers. Anybody know what Krishna did when he was ordered to place the phalanx in the Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna says, let me see to whom these people I must contend with. What does Krishna do? He purposely takes the chariot right in front of Bhishma and Drona, directly in front of them. Because Krishna is able to understand Arjuna's acting weak. And so Krishna's like, this is the Kshatriya rasa actually they had. Krishna's kind of like, why are you so, who you want to see you have to contend with? Like you don't know? Let me show you real close. And he drove him right up to Bhishma and Drona, purposely. And Krishna's actually egging Arjuna on a little bit because he can sense that weakness. So Krishna's a tough.
Like having an encore, those friends that just like to go see.
Well, you got to be a tough guy to hang with Krishna. If you're going to be in the Sakya Rasa is tough, actually. It really is. Like they're like wrestling, and sometimes Krishna's tying your sika to the tail of a calf. It's a little rough. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in battle. When the Lord was asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out all the important men on the opposite side, saying, here is Bhishma, here is Drona, and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. Bhishma Dev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjuna. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjuna's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Actually, he was merciful to the opposite party, because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in ordinary course of life. Therefore, he says that later on, therefore the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. So one of the points is Krishna's always, why is Krishna favor the demigods and defeat the demons? What's the reason? Why does Krishna favor the demigods and defeat the demons? We are Indriyayi Vakilam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. Why is he always on the side of Indra? Indriyayi Vakilam Lokam. He defeats, killing the enemies of Indra. Yeah, Dharma Samstapanartaya. That's an element of it. Dharma Samstapanartaya.
That's the purpose of his appearance.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Krishna's neutral, right? He's neutral to everybody. He doesn't favor anybody. He's not against anybody. But actually, he's raining on everybody. But because this world has a purpose, that's what we have to understand. The world has a purpose. What are the purposes of the world? One purpose. There's another purpose. To fulfill our desires. Yeah, the world exists for two reasons. One is to fulfill our desires. We actually come here because we have some desires. So Krishna is actually giving this world so we can fulfill those desires. And actually, it's not like an evil thing, so to speak, to fulfill desires. It's actually, the world is meant so that we can fulfill our desires and go back to Godhead. That's the purpose of the world. And so, that's why we can't make everything so easy. If it's all easy, let me fulfill my desire, then we're going to forget Krishna. Correct? Let me just do everything I want and I'll forget Krishna. Let me get everything I want. I'm going to totally forget Krishna. Because actually, that's what we came here to do. Ultimate desires, let me forget Krishna. But Krishna's okay, I'll give you a little taste, but still it's going to be like with a little bit of poison to make you realize that this is not going to be fun. And if we're a devotee and we have a desire, we can guarantee that we're going to suffer. We're going to maybe fulfill the desire, but it's going to be some sourness because that's the nature of this world. So Krishna's making us realize this is not what we want. Krishna is what we want. Like I was talking with Mukunda Prabhu, and we got a stamp. I got a stamp of approval on one of Gurudev's statements. Gurudev told me, he said, most people, they want spiritual life. They want to have spiritual life. It's like religious consciousness. Oh, let me have spiritual life. But do they actually want Krishna? It's so easy to get Krishna, actually. But do we want Krishna? Or do we want to have a spiritual life? Maharaj, it was like the very first time I came into this room on Bhagavad Gita class, when Gurudev gave Bhagavad Gita class every Saturday. You were actually there for that sometimes. And Gurudev told me, he said, people want spiritual life, but they don't want Krishna. What is spirit? What's the difference?
Well, when you have a relationship, there's expectations and reciprocity. Spiritual life can just be very impersonal, almost, it's giving something. What's in it for me? It's like giving me something. Yeah, I can say in a simple term, spiritual life is just religious life, religious consciousness. I got my wife, car by the sea, Jai Jagadish Hari. I'm living it good. I go to the temple on Sunday and I pay my obeisances and do a little bit here and there. But I'm not really like, I have lowly and I want Krishna. That's the cost. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that there are two actual fundamental principles to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's religion. One of them is chanting nicely, like really being into chanting. If you're really into chanting, it means relishing the chanting of the holy name, kirtan and japa, and being compassionate to other souls. That's it. That's all there is. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. That's the actual principle of this. So actually, whatever facility we need, whatever we need, whatever we have, it's okay. As long as we can do those two things nicely. That's really the thing. We have to develop those two things: compassion and taste for the holy name. We can just do that. That's success in our Krishna consciousness. How do we be compassionate? Go out and distribute books. Go out and preach. Go out and sacrifice your life to make people devotees. Make your house, your home, a temple. Invite people over. Make your kids devotees and make other people devotees. Be exemplary and chant. Enjoy chanting. Get some taste for chanting. Otherwise, what makes us different from the people? It's like, oh yeah, I pray my rosary every day and I go to confession on Wednesday and I go to mass on Sunday. What is the difference? It's really important we ask ourselves that. Are we actually really wanting Krishna? So therefore, Krishna is neutral to everybody, but Krishna has a purpose. And Krishna's purpose is that in this world, he's trying to bring everybody back to Godhead. And so the best way he can do that is to create a world, a government, a situation in the world where the government, the leaders, the society is favorable toward people going back to Godhead. That's what Krishna wants. Krishna is trying to create a situation where the leaders are helping to facilitate this Krishna consciousness. And he's destroying those whom are not doing that. But if they're destroyed by Krishna, he's also fulfilling his purpose of helping them go back to Godhead because he's liberating them. So see, it's just Krishna's just because someone happens to be on the soil, they're growing, and someone happens to be on the dirt, they're dying. It's just Krishna's watering everything, but the seed that's in the soil gets to grow, the seed that's in the concrete gets to die. So Krishna's mercy is reigning for everybody. In this way, Krishna is neutral to everybody. This is described very nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1. So how are we receiving the mercy? Where are we at? That's the whole point, is our heart actually really receiving the mercy of Krishna. Okay, next verse. Vyavahita pratanamuka niriksha swajana varhad vimukasya dosha budya kumati tamarad atmavidyayash charanarati paramasya tasya mestu. It's a different meter. Yeah. When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him in the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction. So beautiful. It is said that Krishna elevates his devotee to a higher position than his own. So Bhishma Deva is described, our acharyas are thinking like actually Krishna's elevating his devotee higher than himself. We'll keep going, 37, make some progress. Swanigamam apayamat pratigyam ritam madhikartumava pluto ratastaha ritarata charano byayach chala gur harir ivahantumibam gotorayaha. Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran toward me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. We hear the famous pastime, of course. Arjuna had promised, Bhishma promised to kill Arjuna that day, and Bhishma's promised to kill Arjuna, and unless Krishna defends him. And so he made it so that Krishna would totally have to defend. Bhishma is such a powerful fighter. But then right when Krishna was about to take out Bhishma, the conch blew and the battle ended. And so the battle ending, Krishna just threw the wheel. Where did it land? Ekachakra. He threw all the way from Delhi, Kurukshetra, all the way to West Bengal. It's a long ways. Okay, text 38. Here's a good one here. Sita Vishika Hata Vishirna Damsha chatajapari pluta atatyanyume prasabamabi sarasaramadvyatartam sabhavutu me bhagavan gatir mukundaha. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me, as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. The dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhishma Dev on the battle of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Sri Krishna appeared to be partial to Arjuna. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishma Dev, the great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealings is that the devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor a so-called enemy harm him because he is Ajita, or unconquerable. But still, he takes pleasure when his pure devotee beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from a superior position, although no one can be superior to the Lord. These are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings of the devotee with the Lord. And those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. We see that actually, that they can't penetrate into this understanding of rasa. The Lord actually has enjoyment, and it's just natural for the devotees, right? We understand Krishna is this person. He likes to enjoy. He has beautiful pastimes with us. This is all natural for a devotee. Bhishma Dev played the part of a valiant warrior, and he purposely pierced the body of the Lord, so that the common eyes it appeared that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The all-spiritual body cannot be wounded. A devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhishma Dev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhishma Dev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhishma Dev with blood and wounds. He did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasha, or relations between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishma Dev. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded towards Bhishma Dev, as a lover goes to a lover, without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhishma Dev, but factually it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditioned souls. The impersonalists desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here Bhishma Dev aspires to see the Lord in his personal feature. All pure devotees aspire for this. So beautiful. So he's saying, let my destination be Mukunda. That's what we should also understand. Let my destination be Mukunda. Let my final destination be Krishna. See, this is happening actually. This world is so full of danger. We just want that at the end. Let me go back to Godhead. Can you imagine how much defeat, how sad it'll feel if we don't go back to Godhead? Like if we have this, you had this desire, and they're like, you have to go back. You're just like, no, like, yeah.
We think it's a gate and it's a revolving door.
Like sending you back down. You're like, no, I don't want to be born in a devoted family. I want to be born. I want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah. Yeah, worms.
Maybe ground worms?
Worms.
Because I heard of the worms before, but what kind of worms are they?
There's all kinds of them.
Parasites. It's a thing.
The
Cute ones or the ugly ones?
The gross one. They're your kids.
You can get rid of them. Pretty nasty. I've seen.
You see worms, but they don't specify.
They're all parasites. Everybody has them too. Vijaya Rata Kutumba Ata Totre Ritaya Rasmini Chachikre Kshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu Memumushor Yami Hanirksha Hatagata Swarupam. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Pretty amazing statement there. The prema that you desire.
That was also a blessing for him to like take the chariot out right in the middle, right? So, because everyone sees Krishna there. Also.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is also very amazing because actually Krishna was, the chariot driver is directed because he sits below the warrior, and the chariot driver directed by the feet of the warrior. So as Arjuna's feet are touching Krishna. This is actually the real relish. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendently related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by controlling the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, form, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural and pure love and spontaneous affection. So we can also say that we're also not generally on the level of pure love and spontaneous affection. We're not thinking of Krishna, we're thinking of Maya like that, really. The spontaneous attraction is toward Maya. We think of Maya. And the thought is, let me think, remember Krishna. Remember Krishna. How do we actually develop real love for Krishna? That's the process of hearing nicely. It's not so easy. We have to take it very serious. Bhishma Dev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastimes as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the Manushala Lila at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as a clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishma Dev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishma Dev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishma Dev observed with more relish than Arjuna. So this is actually Bhishma Dev's ultimate meditation, Parthasarathi. All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attain their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death, because by their causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in the evolutionary cycle from aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or form of obtained by one's own actions and awarded by material nature. Why do we get certain forms? There's a verse. Bhagavad Gita explains nicely. Purusha prakriti stohi bhankte prakriti jan gunan karnam gunasangosyat sadasadyoni janmashu. So Purusha prakriti, because we're situated in the material energy, Purusha prakriti stohi, we're here in the material energy. Bhankte prakriti jan gunan, we're trying to enjoy these various things. Jan gunan, born of the gunas. Why? Karnam, because guna sangasyat, right? We're associating with the gunas. And therefore, sadasad yoni janmashu, we take births in both wombs of good and evil. So this is the process. We're associating with the modes. We're always associating with the modes. How do we stop associating with the modes?
Here in chant.
Yeah, mamcha yovya bicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya tan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Mamchayo vyabhyacharena bhakti yogena sevate. So vyabhyacharena bhakti means never falls down under any circumstance. And so when you can come to this level of vyabhyacharena bhakti, that I'm not falling down under any circumstance, I'm totally in bhakti. Vyabhyacharena, constant, uninterrupted. Bhakti yogena seva sagunan samatitya tan. Such a person immediately is above the modes. From He becomes a Brahma Bhuta, he becomes a Brahman realized person. He realizes he's not this body. Therefore, he has all these nice qualities, like he doesn't desire, he doesn't lament. He sees all living entities equally. So therefore, we have to strive. And I mean, on a practical level, we may not be on the level of Yadvacharya Bhakti, but we do know devotees who are. How do we really get it? It's this begging process. Oh, my dear Lord Balaram, my dear Krishna, my dear Srimati Radharani, dear Guru Maharaj, please engage me in your devotional service. Please engage me in your devotional service. Please. I'm so tired of this material energy. I'm so tired of being embarrassed by this material energy. It hurts me so deeply. It's so painful. So sad. I'm so tired of this material energy. Please, please engage me in your devotional service. Please engage me in your devotional service. Please let me do what you want me to do. Maya tricks us by making us think that this situation is good. This is good. Anything the material world offers us is not actually good. Prabhupada says dry stool, wet stool, not good. So it's even the best circumstance, even the best circumstance, pure devotee is thinking, please, please let me out of here. Please let me just know you. This is the nature. It's not easy. The material world is so hard. And Krishna is arranging all these feelings for us. Every person we meet is a reflection of ourselves. And, if you see someone you totally hate and you're envious of, that's because you totally hate and are envious of Krishna. And if you see someone you totally are in love with and feel like, oh, I love this person, love their qualities, that's also because we love Krishna. And actually, those things are also in ourselves. We hate ourselves, actually. It's this whole nature of this materialist, is this self-hating, self-sabotaging material world, So, therefore, when you see your guru and you see the really powerful devotee, you think, oh, I want to be like them. You think, why are they like that and I'm not like that? Whenever we think like that, we are like that. That's what Krishna is putting them in front of us for. We can realize we're like that. So if we have the proper mood, we can actually realize, I have this in me. I can do this. And so, all of the relationships and the relationship dynamics in this world and the love and all these things are arranged by us so that we can develop spiritually. That's the nature of actual love, right? It actually exposes us. That's the real nature of it. That, you can be like, okay, you're some so-called brahmachari and you're, a very hard staunch guy, And if we don't have love, we can't be exposed. So, all the love of Grihastha ashram, even, whatever we're controlling our senses and all these feelings we're coming up with other people, this is exposing the Maya. We have two options. We can either repress it, or we can act on it, or we can just be conscious and try to utilize everything in Krishna's service. Let me put Krishna back in the center here. How can I serve? What can I do to serve you? What steps am I gonna have to take to actually serve you? What am I gonna have to do to get past this stuff and be okay with myself and my own heart? So you see, like that. I lost my place. Like that, we move on. We go deeper. We got lost here. When did we get there? Oh, so yeah, at the moment of death, it's all coming back to, let me remember Krishna. Let me remember Krishna. I mean, you can take this meditation that we do sometimes, it's like, what are you going to tell Krishna when you see him? What would you tell him? What would you say to your guru and to Krishna and to Srila Prabhupada? I did this, You can say, I distributed 1 million books. What a statement, you know. Or if you can say, it's nice to give a report to the deities. It's very powerful. Sometimes, and every time I see Radhamadava in Mayapur, I always give my report. I talk to Radharani. She's the boss. And, when you really say, like, humbly, this year, so-and-so became a devotee, I helped preach them, you empowered me to do this, the deity will actually really reciprocate with you. More than any human being can, the deity will reciprocate with you. That Radharani is so mystical, and she will reciprocate with you. So that way you can communicate the deity and communicate with Krishna. And you can say, this is where I'm flawed. This is where I was envious. This is where I was inappropriate. This is where I'm dealing with. Give me guidance. Help me. So that at the end, we can just say, I just want you. So the spiritual life, there's one hippie guru, Terence McKenna. He famously said, who needs gurus when you have plants? Because he was all about, that you could take a bunch of mushrooms and, my ego died. You can get like that. And these guys, they eat a bunch of acid and they're just like, they're like on the nihilism level or something, but people don't realize what it actually means to have a guru. We may have a guru, but do we actually have a guru? Is it destroying you? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, no one should even come near me unless they're prepared to be completely disillusioned. So, we have our guru and we have our Bapu Seva, but the actual Guru Tattva, if it's in your life for real, the Guru Tattva here in the heart, it should actually shred our false ego. It should feel like, it should actually feel like we're being shredded apart. Our false ego is being shredded. And that's the constant spiritual journey. And the amazing thing is devotees are happy, even though we're generally going through a much more intense life experience than the karmis who are unhappy. It's correct. Look at what Srila Prabhupada went through. Look at what so many devotees went through. The austerities, the challenges, the traumas, like Brahmananda, when we were brought out with machine guns, this is traumatic stuff, sometimes in the world today, I've had guns pointed at me at least 10 times in my life, but, the first time I got a gun pointed at me, it was like, it was traumatic, it was a traumatic experience, but, devotees going through so many crazy things, like Kadambakana Maharaj was lined up in an execution squad, and somehow, he was just, miraculously Krishna saved. So, devotees go through all these crazy things in the preaching of Krishna consciousness. And it's, these are examples, but all of us, if we're really sincere, we should be going through things which are challenging our egos. And if we're unconscious, this is a point, if we're unconscious, then we're not going to be aware of it. And this is how religious folks are, religious consciousness. They're just, content to being in the mode of goodness. Content in the mode of goodness, right? I go to the church, eat my diet, prasad, chant my japa, supposed to do it. And, basically we're going to engineer a little material life in the mode of goodness. But the seeker, a different story. Do we have the masuchaha? What does masuchaha mean? He's become courageous to fight the battle of this material life. To actually, Krishna, are you begging? Sometimes we say, we're asking for it. Sometimes, after I get burned out and totally slaughtered by Gurudev, I'm like, for like months at a time, I'm just recovering from a chastisement, putting my brain back in my head, finding pieces of it all over the state. I'll get a little angry. guy yelling at me, telling me this and that. But actually, we signed up for it. We signed up for it, did we not? And so, we should understand this point. I know I'm getting on a little tangent, but this is all this important verse here. I mean, let my mind at the end be fixed upon Mukunda. It's not a simple thing. I mean, when you go to sleep at night, what do you think about? For me, that's when Maya rushes in at night. Like it's like onslaughts of Maya. For me, that's just me. And in the morning, I wake up, I feel like I am like totally the Maya's fighting, but when I'm trying to sleep, it's like boom, 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 boom. Maya's onslaughting me. So at the end of your life, you'll be, there's the beautiful girl walking in the room, and then I saw that with my own eyes, that pastime. When my dad was leaving his body, he was dead. This was within hours of his death. Actually, I think he died like 4 hours later, a few hours later. I had a really pretty little girlfriend with me, before I was a devotee. And she was, kind enough to be with me through that process of losing my father. And, dad is dead, and then, May walks in. He's like, oh, maybe I can teach you guitar someday. I'm serious. I'm serious. And then when I read the third canto, I started weeping. I was like, oh my God, it's all real. Like, I've seen it. I saw the whole thing. The only, valiant nature, good thing, about my dad is that I'm trying to be a devotee. So hopefully he'll get benefit. And I've, prayed deeply for him over the years. And he taught me music, which I use for Krishna. And he really taught me music well and put a lot of love into that. But in any case, so are we really prepared to undergo the spiritual process? This sarvadharman prityaja. Sarvadharman. I'm surrendering religion. Mam ekha, and Krishna is my goal. So let's back up a second. Not so easy, right? I say, at least for me, it's not so easy. We have to listen to our heart. We have to listen to our guru. We have to balance everything. We can't, sometimes we can't just repress desires. We can't repress desires. Might not be favorable for our own development. So therefore, we have to go through whatever our karma makes us go through. We have to make this intense goal that I'm going to serve Krishna by developing those two fundamental things: taste for the holy name and compassion for other souls. And that doesn't mean, I've seen this before too, and I've been privy to this myself. I believe that the reason that I have any success in bringing people into the temple and bringing devotees is because I've got a taste of that from myself, this compassion. It's like, oh, I made devotees, I'm preaching, and I've seen that, then there's like, program for years and no one becoming initiated. I've seen, because I'm, it's my guru, my offering. No, you have to care about the person that you're preaching to. You have to care about them. And I'll just be honest, the devotee that to me embodied that the greatest in my life is Padmanabhan Prabhu. When he is giving his classes in Mayapur, the level of care he shows for the students, the level of desire, the passion he wants you to understand and go back to Godhead. So much so that both me and Bala had the experience that when we met Padmanabhan, we both started to cry a little bit because he was such like an intensely surrendered soul. You can't even be around him. Like if you're like, he's just so, especially in his element of being in the Mayapur Institute. So I really, when I came back from Mayapur, first time I was all of a sudden, people started coming and preaching. And, people that I were preaching to before got more serious. Devi Singh and Nitai, people, they all came. Garanga moved in. Things happened. because I really was feeling that current of Padmanabhan Prabhu's compassion coming through. We can do. That's the desire. We really want to serve. So that's it. Let my mind fix upon Mukunda. Not let my mind fix upon my ISKCON spiritual life or this or that. Let my mind actually be fixed upon Mukunda. Let me be prepared to undergo the transformative process of spiritual life. Thank you. And yeah, that's the beauty of the material world. Like when we see, all these plants and trees and things like that, the ones that strive often are going through struggles. Everything's struggling, hard struggle for existence. So a successful organism in this world is one who has overcome struggle after struggle after struggle after struggle and remains happy. And that's the idea of a sadhu or a yogi, is that we're putting ourselves under, tapasya. This is the recommendation of the Lord, Shabdev. Nayam deo deo bhajam naloke kastan kamanarate vidbhujanye tapo divyam putrakayena sadvam shudyad yasmad brahma sokyam tanantam. Nayam deho deho. Now you've come to the human form of life. Nayam deho neo bhajam naloke kastan kamanarate vidbhujam. Don't be a stool eater. Saying this, don't be a stool eater. Vidbhujamye. Rather, tapo divyam putraka yena sat. My dear sons, perform divine austerities. Putraka yena sattvam, by which you can become purified. Shudya, yasmit, brahman sokyam twanantam. And you can attain brahma sokya, real happiness. Why are we settling for material happiness? Why are we obsessed with material happiness? I'm talking to myself, FYI. I'm really obsessed with material happiness. The fight always, no, Krishna, I know that this is not real. I know that this is an illusion. What is it? It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born from contact with the material mode of passion. And it burns like fire and is never satiated. God is telling us, don't do it. Burns like fire, it's never satiated. It's like that meme they used to have for a while back with the sheep. It like jumped into the hole and then like pulled it out and it jumped right back into the hole. That's our position. That's like me. I'm seeing that and I'm like, that's me right there. Oh, I'm here again. This is the nature of the material world. So, sometimes I say this, that Krishna consciousness could sometimes mean waking up enthusiastic and then crying yourself to sleep at night. Not because you're some sad, mopey devotee, but because, it is intense. And we have to cry for Krishna. We have to cry for Krishna. And then we can fix our mind upon him. Then we can fix our mind upon him at the end. And we should, of course, there's Mahaprabhu's mercy is there. That's our ultimate hope. But we should act as if I'm unqualified for the mercy. That's what the Goswamis were feeling. They were only depending on the mercy. Like, I can't do it on my own. I need your mercy. Then we can fix our mind upon Krishna at the end. It's a situation of direness. Do we understand that gravity of the situation we're in? And, I don't know. I'm not a very fixed up devotee, And because of that, it's always I think it's Krishna's mercy on me. And I'm always trying to hold on to the chanting, I'm always trying to hold on to, it's Krishna's mercy, and I'm always trying to like hold on to the chanting. Like, I'm going through a lot, but I'm still going to keep chanting nicely. So, anyhow, yeah. So, Bhishma Deva is saying, let my mind be fixed upon Lord Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsel. Oh, we didn't do that one. It was, at the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attain their original forms after death. Sometimes you may think, I think this also like, oh yeah, no problem. At the time of death, I'll remember Krishna. And sometimes I think like that. And that's okay. But at the same time, the Goswamis were crying because they were feeling I didn't do enough service for Krishna. And Madhavendra Puri is the most elevated devotee in our entire, it's not Lord Chaitanya. He is the most elevated devotee in our entire line. He had Mahabhav. And Madhavendra Puri, at the end of his life, was weeping that I didn't get the mercy of Krishna. Krishna appeared to him, stole sweet rice for him, gave him milk, all these things. And I didn't get the mercy of Krishna. So sometimes we have devotees, I've heard devotees come and they, talk about how they love Krishna in a class. And that's okay. I'm not criticizing them. They give a class about how they love Krishna and how they can help you to love Krishna. Not criticizing. But one devotee after that, and he said to me, after 25 years of being a devotee, I have no love for Krishna. So as we actually advance, we should feel I have less and less love for Krishna. So we'll end with this. I'll just read this letter of encouragement here. It was a nice little point. And I'll just end with this letter of encouragement from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Dharmadam Prabhu. And this is a letter from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. I understand your anxiety in writing such a letter, as you are single-handedly maintaining the Varnasi Mat. He says, optimism, enthusiasm, Krishna Seva, service to the devotees, and Sri Nam Kirtan are beneficial for advancement. Repeat that. Optimism, enthusiasm, Krishna Seva, service to the devotees, and Sri Nam Kirtan are beneficial for advancement. If all our endeavors are focused on fulfilling Krishna's desires, then Maya's allurement will never be able to captivate us. Always engage in hearing, chanting, and reading the books of the Mahajans and the Gaudiya magazines, so that there will be no laziness in the matter of accepting the philosophy. Discuss Hari Katha with devotees who are with you, and as you advance in your bhajan, you will start realizing your fallen condition. You must be aware of this phrase: the most advanced devotee considers himself the most fallen. Always endeavor for the well-being of your subordinates, as by doing so, we make advancement in our own bhajan. So there's that element of, we see the advancement, it's like, yeah, I'm going to be happy like that. But actually, really, advancement means every day we're just realizing deeper and deeper and deeper how dirty it is in the heart. And that's why you can dance with enthusiasm, because this is your only hope. Krishna Seva, Vaishnav Seva, and Srinam Kirtan may appear to be separate activities, but all three have the same purport. By Nam Sankirtan, Krishna Seva and Vaishnav Seva are possible. By Nam Sankirtan, Krishna Seva and Vaishnav Seva are possible. By Vaishnav Seva, Krishna Kirtan and Krishna Seva are possible. And by Krishna Seva, Nam Sankirtan and Vaishnav Seva are possible. The proof is Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudevam Shabitam. It's a verse by Lord Shiva. By studying Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, one can perform Krishna Seva and Nam Sankirtan. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam in good association, one gets the same result. By deity worship, all three of these activities are performed, and by Nam Bhajan, these are performed immaculately. Engage your past history in judging what is favorable for your bhajan. Engage, this is a great instruction. Engage your past history in judging what is favorable for your bhajan. That is, know that what is unfavorable is just a precondition of what is favorable. When an unfavorable situation gives rise to difficulties, those same difficulties lead to a favorable situation for bhajan. Every visible object in this world is an ingredient for Krishna seva. Lack of a service attitude illusions our mind and engages us in sense enjoyment. With the rise of transcendental knowledge in our heart, we start seeing everything in this world in connection with Krishna. Only then will the poisonous fruit of desire for distinction not be able to swallow us. Poisonous fruit of desire for distinction not be able to swallow us. The restless stream of life flows toward the ocean of death. Such realization makes us engage in Hari Seva in every step of life. For this reason, what brings pleasure to Krishna should be accepted by us with satisfaction. If Krishna's happiness is in disappointing us, then such disappointment should be accepted. Whatever sufferings I undergo in your service, that is my ultimate pleasure. This is the realization of a Vaishnava. Try to follow this carefully. When our anarthas are exposed in the service of Krishna, then those same anarthas become the main cause of all auspiciousness for us. Thakur Bimalamangala's past history, Swayam Sarvabhauma's incident, Prakashananda's bad argument, all such anarthas ultimately became the cause of their complete surrender to the service of Krishna. So don't worry for your past anarthas. Present anarthas can be subdued by hearing and chanting. Our lives are short, so till death we should engage in Hari Seva without hypocrisy. This you should be careful about. Following the footsteps of the Mahajans is our only bridge to auspiciousness. Am Tarshyami Duratta Parmam. Discuss this shloka. I have read your letter to Sri Bhaktivilas Thakur. He has expressed his satisfaction. I hope everybody out there is engaged in Hari Kirtan and Vaishnav Seva with enthusiasm. Offer my heartfelt greetings to them accordingly. Because of my past karma, sometimes I am fit and sometimes indisposed. When I think I am fit, I become disinclined to bhajan. And as a result, I start considering other advanced devotees to be inferior to me. Read that one again. When I think I am fit, I become disinclined to bhajan. And as a result, I start considering other advanced devotees to be inferior to me. So considering my situation, Krishna always keeps me in different sorts of sufferings, pains, sickness, and problems. That's me. So considering my situation, Krishna always keeps me in different sorts of sufferings, pains, sickness, and problems. Then only I try to realize the meaning of this shloka. Tate nukampam shishamano. When I am not properly engaged in Krishna's service, I want to quarrel with people. When I am engaged in service to Krishna, people attack me. Hope you are doing well. Your ever well-wisher, Siddhanta Saraswati. So, Haribol, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Isn't that a great letter?
It's amazing.